All right, I am Greg Onstot. I am an identity engineer. So I do a lot of stuff with AD and Azure and all sorts of other things. So the code I have up to share is a quick way to build a lab in Azure. What this one does, I kicked off at the beginning of the session, and about 30 minutes in, I had a lab with 4 systems in it: a domain controller, an offline root CA, a CA, and a CRO server. Starting off at the beginning here, I'm just doing the import of the Azure module, seeing if I'm already connected. If I'm not, does a sign in the login Azure command. If I have more than one subscription available to me, it does the pop-up and lets me choose which subscription I want to deploy into. If there's only one, it just deploys it. You set your resource group location, your resource group name, and the template file you want to use here. If the resource doesn't exist, it will create it. And then it takes the JSON files and deploys them as VMs into the subscription, including the resource, the NSGs and everything else. So if people do Azure a lot, I know there's better ways to do this, but this is just a quick Azure resource group deployment method. The piece that I ran into that a lot of people don't talk about, or I haven't seen a lot about, was getting yourself access to your VMs in Azure if you're not coming through like ExpressRoute. So if you're doing this lab for your home, basically they say you can open RDP to the world, or they didn't have a whole lot of good options until the Azure Bastion services came in. So what I did instead is I created this function to create the NSG to allow RDP to each specific server from my IP address. I get my public IP address here, and then it automatically creates the NSGs to allow me to RDP to the servers I just built. So the other thing I always ran into is I'd forget the public IPs of the VMs that I wanted to RDP into. So another function will go out, query out the NSG or the resource group and get the IPs back of all the servers in there. So this was not really planned to present today, obviously, but people kept pushing. So, you know who you
Dude,
are.
that's I think that's great.
Yeah, you're definitely posting this up to sharing with us because I would need that.
Wait a second here. Wait a second. So Greg is calling me out, which is fine. And the reason I was calling him out is, for you guys who do not know, I wrote a module called PSAD Health, which is really probably mostly Greg's work, with me adding a little bit to it. Greg and I wrote that together with Stevie Costa. Greg is a super sharp guy. And not only that, he wrote a chapter in the PS Conference Book version 2 that is an excellent chapter, I believe, on PKI, with some really great scripts on how to build your environment and automate most of this stuff. So I think what he showed here is just a snippet of the stuff that's in that chapter. So if you guys like this stuff, that PS Conference Book Volume 2 is a deep dive on this whole thing.
Yep. So
Good stuff.
I'll be happy to share it. And if you have questions, let me know. Oh, the other piece, this does build it in a way that every server will shut itself off at 10 p.m. So you don't have to worry about spending all your money by forgetting to leave it on. And in here, there's a quick way to go out and start all the VMs again in the morning or whenever you want to kick off your lab again.